Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing the final episode review of The Penguin. There's probably some spoilers in there. It's episode 8, so they had 8 episodes of this series. And it's called A Great or Little Thing. So, a lot happened in the episode.
And of course, right as we're doing a video, you have the garden people going right up to the window.
And mowing.
I don't know what they're mowing. Safi, what'd you think of the episode?
Well, boy. I thought it was really good
Until a
the
certain
end,
thing.
near the end, which
Yeah.
I don't understand. And maybe Marco has a better take on understanding it. I have a tongue in my mouth, sorry.
Yeah, she likes
My
to...
stomach is burned.
She likes to eat candy while she reviews.
It's
so
not
that
candy, it's to make my stomach not burn
it's
up.
candy.
Anyway, so I won't say what the two other things that real things that happened in our lives recently, but in the last 2 weeks, I guess, or the last week and a half. It kind of was like that. The feeling, the emotion, it just pulled the air out of me, and I was kind of left empty and, I don't know, sad, disappointed, shock. I don't know what else to say. I'll just say it's a negative feeling.
Is there any rewatch value to the season now?
Well, that's the thing. They don't really show everything in the end. That it just shows like the penguin's on top. I'll just say that. He's wearing his suit, his penguin. They call.
Did that answer my question?
But you don't know about all the rest that is underneath it. Does he have all the power now in Gotham? Does he not have to worry about Batman? Is everybody catering to his needs?
I don't know who has to worry about Batman because, I'll say this: we haven't done a season 1 review of the show, but I would say one of the major issues is that Batman is just complete trash. I mean, I will say it is on par with his portrayal in his crappy movie, because in that movie, he was a piece of trash too. So it's just continuing his being trash, because for him not to have shown up the entire season and then right at the end they show the bat signal, it's like, what a big F you. To all the people who died this season, the fact that the whole Falcone crime family was killed. You had the brothers' mysterious disappearance. You had the Gigante family introduction into the Gotham world. You had Penguin introducing a new drug out on the street. And what does Batman care? Nothing. Sophia blows up a whole street of Gotham. What does Batman care? Nothing. And then right at the end, he shows up for what? For what? Why was there even a bat signal at the end of the show? Because of some, what was he even going out to fight crime for? He doesn't even fight any crime. He doesn't really care about any crime. There was actually someone on Twitter who had the gall to say that the Batman has bigger things to worry about than the Penguin. The Penguin, one of Batman's main villains. Whoa.
Well, the councilman, near the end, the Penguin met with the councilman again. Remember that the councilman who was in charge of the area where they had the drug lab, he got the power put back on.
Safi, people know that. They've seen the show.
Okay, Marco, but what I'm saying is he went to see him again. And when he visited him and asked him to do something, or told him what he could do that would benefit him, he said, well, we're going on this anti-crime mission now, and we're going to get rid of the corruption. We're going to get rid of the police people who are involved in the corruption, and these people and that people. And so that's the only thing, if the end that they showed a Batman signal, that would be linking up. That's a furtherance of that. That's the only thing I can think. But I mean, if you want to know the truth, I didn't even see that. It was really dark. The sun was shining real brightly on me, and I could not see.
What I think is that, they were originally going to have 2 other shows. They were going to have an Arkham show about people in Arkham, and they were going to have a Gotham Police Department show. So you can clearly see where those 2 shows would have started. You would have had the show with Sophia and Arkham, and then you would have had the show now with the new task force trying to take down the corruption. So I think that that's kind of sad, because you can see the potential there of what we could have gotten. But I just think, honestly, Safi's been kind of jumping around like a, what do you call those? Like those bugs, those little stick
jumping
bugs.
Beans.
Yeah, that they just jump around all over the place. That's what Safi's new name's going to be, the Jumping Bean. And now they're starting a different machine, but and the cat is like, oh God.
He doesn't like the yard people. He's gotten more used to them, but still.
I would say this finale was a mixed bag, because it feels a lot like Better Call Saul season 6, where I legitimately feel like Chuck McGill wrote the finale of this show. Because it was the same type of thing where it's basically the whole goal of the episode was that we have to make the Penguin completely irredeemable. We have to make him a complete villain. He can't have any good qualities about him. We have to completely take away any sympathy you have for him. And I just think that, honestly, it was a big mistake. And it was a big letdown. I think that the big decision that they made near the end of the episode, I think it was a big waste. It was a big letdown. And honestly, it was premature. It came out of nowhere. It felt like shock for just shock value. And also, I feel like this season as a whole was rushed. And I think that you can feel that too. Because this isn't a problem I have with the old man. They don't give you any time to process anything anymore. And they admit to that too. They're like, there's no room to breathe. There's no, it's a roller coaster. It's a ride. What do they call it? A ride? Like an intense ride? There's no quote unquote filler. But filler is good. Because I think when you have filler, you have room to breathe. And in this show, there was never any room to breathe. And there was never any room to process anything or for things to really naturally develop. I think it was a very rushed show. And I think that that's the main takeaway that I have for the season. Because I felt like it was a stupid thing to do. You set up the show where they made him extremely likable, the Penguin. They made you root for him. And then all of a sudden, they completely turn the tables and say, oh no, actually, he's the worst. And it doesn't work for me. It's that could have worked if it was done slower and more gradually, as Safi's going to go get some alcohol.
No, I'm not. I don't drink at all.
She's a big drinker now.
Water.
After watching all these crappy shows. But it really should have been developed a lot slower, gradually. I felt like it was like jumping the shark, jumping the gun, And it's sad because I was really enjoying the finale, but it really gave you that feeling. And it's hard for me to feel completely against the Penguin because it's his show. And it's this weird feeling where these modern writers, they write a show about a character who they want you to hate the character, even though they're supposed to be the main character and the person that you root for. It doesn't make any sense at all. That's why, the Joker was so good, is because you could see that he was clearly evil, or he was clearly mentally ill, and he clearly needed help. Not everything that he did was good. Like him killing those guys on the train was good, because that was self-defense. But then killing the other people and all the other stuff he did was bad. But you still kind of root for him and sympathize with him because he's the main character and you want him to succeed. Whereas with the Penguin, they went from that to, oh, you shouldn't like this character at all. He's the worst. He's completely evil, and you shouldn't like anything about him. Even though Sophia's the one who caused his mom to have a stroke, which was terrible in this episode. And that Sophia has just completely turned into a huge letdown of a character. I don't know what her plan was.
Well, I don't know what their plan for her is.
What was her motivation? Like, she brings Oz to the club so that she can, as someone called it, a big group therapy session with him and his mom. That was completely contrived. I would say, like, in general, the feeling I had from this episode was that it was contrived. It was almost like Fallout, where, with Fallout, I also had a feeling that they would make the father the bad guy, because he, you can't have a character like that in a TV show anymore. Fathers are all horrible people. So, I knew that they would make him the bad guy, and that was kind of like what I felt like with this, although I felt like this was done a little bit better, I guess, but still, I don't like these shows and movies where all of a sudden they make you, like, hate the character, and they just, because it's kind of like this artificial feeling. It's like, I'm not going to fully get on board with that, because it just feels wrong. Because it's like, why would I want to watch a show or a movie if I didn't want the main character to succeed? Right?
It's kind of like I said, it's I'm a little bit in shock.
Safi's a robot.
Because I just can't believe, because at the end, they have this quick little snippet of things, and then boom, it's over. Boom! And it's almost like what Marco said, they rushed to it.
Yeah.
Because they are in the last episode, and I guess they only get so many episodes. I was glad, because they start off, we'll go back to the beginning of it, they start off with a vision of the past. And we had been missing this part of the story. And that is, did the mother ever find out what happened to Oz's brothers?
Yeah.
How did she feel about it? Well, we really didn't get completely the whole story. Like, how did the police know where to go to find them? It's not like they had an Apple Watch or another locator, so I don't get that, because I remember when it was happening and it was raining, you could hear the boys on the street. You could hear them through the grates going, help, help, help us, and there was nobody around. And so anyway, that part they didn't say. I guess maybe they didn't feel like, it's not like when you read a book and you can put in every detail. It's a visual video, so you have to show the basic things. But still, I just, so anyway, the mother did find out. Her name is Frances, by the way. I finally wrote it down, because some of these names, they just flew by. during the whole series, and I didn't catch him. And that bad guy they had showed, where the older boy had given him something from his mother, like numbers, and never did understand what that was. That's Max. And apparently she really did have a relationship, not a loving, but I mean like he came by, the boys had died, the police had found them. They said that they had been locked underneath, that they couldn't get out no matter what they did, and they drowned. And so he was coming by to comfort her, and there was all these things said. I don't know if Marco wants me to say. I did write there was some really good dialogue in the show. No matter what happened near the end, that neither Marco nor I liked. And
well, I just feel like, number one, what was Sophia's plan?
Well, that was another thing.
Was to, I mean, why did she even care about his past? Like,
well, I know that's how we all know, because Sophia and that psychiatrist, he's a professional.
The psychiatrist is still trash. He's still a trash
and
character.
He's still alive. I thought he was dead.
He was barely even there in the episode. He just shows up when he needs to show up, and he's complete trash. But they have this big group therapy thing. It's very contrived, and then the mom actually tells Penguin that she still hates him. She always hated him. Yeah. She should have had Rex kill him, and Max. Want to make a bet?
Yeah, I do. And she says, "I hate you for what you did. I've always hated you."
Safi, you're not a journalist.
I had enough to give to all of you.
So,
talking about the brothers and him.
I thought that was good, but again, it was like, why did Sophia care? It was just really weird. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it felt so contrived and fake and phony, and then I guess her plan was just to kill him or to kill them both. Like, I have no idea.
Well, that was another thing.
It was so weird.
It's like you said, why did she do that? Because at first, when we come, and when this past is all brought up in the, like a dream sequence or whatever, in black and white, of course. And then we come to the day and the present day, and Penguin's there tied up, the mother's there tied up. They take all of her restraints off, and they get her hand, and Sophia is threatening to cut off her finger like what Penguin did to her brother to get that ring. Remember the special ring? And so they're going to cut off her finger to get Penguin to tell her what he did to the brothers and admit to it. And anything else, I guess, that he could come up with. And he just pretended like he was innocent. And then she said all that stuff. I hate you. I've always hated you. And
anyways, and then the Penguin conveniently breaks free. That was another thing I didn't like. Was like he really conveniently just breaks free.
Where did the gun come from that was on the floor?
I don't know.
That's what I didn't get.
But somehow he gets a gun. He kills all of Sophia's men. He gets his mom out of there after she has a fall. And then he takes her to the hospital. Oh, yeah, and his mom also stabbed him with glass, so she wanted to kill him.
She broke a bottle, and she used the sharp bottom end and stabbed him in the stomach. Yeah. Because she was free. They had taken away all the restraints. And after this exchange where she said, I hate you, blah, 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 she popped up, broke the bottle, stabbed him in the chest, and then they're all like, oh my God. And then Penguin, like Marco says, suddenly is able to break his restraints.
Yeah, just all of a sudden.
Which I don't get that.
That was like, if this was that movie pitch guy, he would have said, oh, I bet the Penguin's going to have a super hard time getting out of this one. He would have said, no, actually, it's going to be super easy. It's barely an inconvenience. And he just breaks out, and he escapes with the mom. Sophia's trash. it's like, I don't know what that was, like what that whole thing was about. Like, it felt almost like she's not even like a mini boss, because at least a mini boss would have put up a fight.
Well,
She just comes out and shoots at him once, and then it's just like, whatever.
Well, after she stabbed him, she sees this vision of the boys. They're kind of faded out, which that was good, the lighting, because it's either a figment of her imagination, or it's their ghost looking at her, and probably a figment of her imagination, because this isn't American Horror Story or Fargo.
Safi's obsessed with trying to make you know every single little thing that happened in the episode, even if it's irrelevant.
Well, it just doesn't happen. So she passes out, and so you think, oh, she had a heart attack, but they're going to make her have a heart attack like that other guy, Maroney. And I'm like, I don't think so.
She has the other thing. Heart attack or stroke.
Yeah, she had a stroke, but that was weird.
He took her to the hospital, and then he patches himself up, and then this was another thing I hated about the episode. Victor was also kind of trash, because he didn't really do anything this episode except for go to the Penguin and give him a motivational speech, which he basically didn't even need one, because the way that he won in this finale was so very contrived and forced that he didn't even really need a motivational speech. It's like
Well, Victor had told those crime people he'd been with them the whole time. I didn't get that either. I guess I missed it somehow. All those people, remember, they gathered all these heads of all the gangs to say, they wanted them to get on board with the drug.
Victor just met up with them somehow, and he got with them, and then they didn't. Okay, so anyways, that doesn't matter. So but my problem is that Victor didn't really do much of anything this episode, and I really expected him to do more. I expected, his character throughout the whole season. He's helped Oswald. He's done all these things for him. He's helped with all these schemes and things. And then in the finale of the show, he basically does nothing except for give him a motivational speech.
Well, that's not true, Marco.
Really? What else did he do?
He told those gang people, he said, those Maronis and that.
But what did that accomplish?
Sophia doesn't give a crap about you.
What did that accomplish?
Trying to get them to think about getting rid of her.
No, I mean in terms of action. He didn't really do anything this episode.
He kill part of Sophia's and whoever the bad guys were who were going after Penguin. Remember, they set a trap for Sophia.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but I mean in terms of he really didn't feel like he had very much agency this episode in terms of actions that he did. It felt like he was just kind of there again.
Well, always at the right time.
And it's weird because again, after episode 6, where it was like the story the story they were setting up was him becoming more of a player in the game. And then in episode 7, he disappears the whole episode. And episode 8, he's barely there to do anything. So that's what I mean. It's like, I feel like this finale in some ways was kind of a letdown. And I know that Safi thinks it's the greatest thing ever. And I know that the majority of people will think it's the greatest thing ever. But
I wasn't happy about
I feel like it was rushed, and I feel like it was very forced and contrived. And it really didn't work for me the way that they wanted it to work on me. And that's not because I think the Penguin is a good person. I know that the Penguin's a villain. But the way that they handled that story was just really, really forced to me.
Well, like you said, Victor was hardly in it. He did convince, or at least remind some of those crime people that what they were dealing with was somebody who was really just taking advantage of them. And apparently they were reminded. So he helped in that way. And then when they set Sophia up, he helped kill some of them. So they, and then, well, you don't. Did you expect the thing with Sophia to happen? I mean, he was.
Well, with Sophia, that's another thing we should talk about. Her character, she all of a sudden she's like, actually, I'm gonna leave Gotham. You know, just like I was saying in Dark Winds season 2, like in that finale, just all the women left the show. Like that was basically the whole finale. All the female characters left. Right. So, like all of a sudden, she's like, no, actually, I don't want to be a crime boss of Gotham anymore. I want to leave. So, as I put in the picture, she's like the Britney Spears of this show. You know, that's what she acts like. She acts like crazy Britney. Crazy Britney Spears. You know, cutting all her hair off and just doing a bunch of random shit. You know, that's what she acts like. And it's like that thing that she did with, like, burning her house, her mansion down and everything. Like, that was bizarre. That was another bizarre thing.
Well, she told but see, I didn't get that either, because she told all these crime bosses, they all came to her place, and she said, look, I decided to leave Gotham, and if one of you can bring Oz to me, then whoever does it can have everything I have. Can have all the businesses, and then I thought that would include the mansion and all of that in it. And she burns it all down before she leaves to go to the airport, and then she gets this call, well, we have Oz, and it's one of the guys who had been talking to Victor, who said, we're not on board with this. We get what you said. And then they show this montage of killings where these gang members that were with Victor and Penguin, they killed off one gang member at a time that were against them and were with Sophia.
No, the leaders, Safi.
Well, the leaders. It was a reminder of The Godfather.
Yeah.
When they went.
Well, I like that part.
That was interesting. I thought, gee, I wonder where he got that idea.
My favorite
part. Because I've seen that movie a lot. So.
My favorite part was when the Penguin took Sophia for a ride. And that was really cool, because it was like a parallel to the past. And then he took her out, and you think, oh, is he going to kill her? No. And I knew he wasn't going to kill her, because...
Well, that's what I was wondering, what you thought about that twist.
He talked to that one council member guy to blame everything on her.
Right.
And so I thought that it was really cool that, like, instead of killing her, he sends her back to Arkham, which is like the worst fate that she could have possibly received. And that's something that I will say, unlike Better Call Saul Season 6, the Kim-style character, she actually does receive consequences in the show. And so I like that, because it's like she's not invulnerable. She's not protected by the showrunners. And so I thought that was cool. But it still didn't make me change my mind about her character. I mean, she's a crazy person. You can see it in her eyes. And she made Oz's mom have a stroke.
Well, that's Marco. Come on. She...
Doing all that stuff with the hypnosis and everything probably caused her to be in extreme distress. And then she had that, right?
Yeah, but
like, obviously, I know that she didn't make her physically have that, but all those conditions and what she did and what the psychiatrist did to her
we
led
don't know
to
about
that.
The medication that he gave to elicit all that imagery from the past.
He was responsible for that too, but yeah. I think that that was terrible, and but I really liked it when she got sent to Gotham.
Well, after she's murdered all these people in her family, and she set that bomb off.
Yeah.
And so she has done things that she would be sent away. Although, is it supposed to be Arkham Prison or Arkham Insane Asylum?
Arkham Asylum.
So anybody who gets in trouble for something, they don't go to jail. They just go to the Arkham Asylum. That's what I don't.
No, they have a prison too, but then they have the asylum. I'm not really sure about all that, but like, I can't remember. I think the prison's called like Blackgate Prison. But,
okay. Well, since she had been there and she had been deemed crazy, she never was cleared of that, right?
I guess not. I don't know.
So anyway, that would be the logical place for her to return.
They never really, or actually, we talked about why she got out was because her dad died.
Yeah, yeah.
But
all the stuff about, there were still people who thought she had killed all those women.
Yeah.
And it was really her father. And so since she had that, that's probably why she was going away.
Another kind of thread that was also kind of wasted was the thing with the little girl.
Never heard about that. Yeah,
there were all these people who thought she was going to save the little girl. In fact, I thought it could have been even darker if Sophia had broken out the little girl, and then when the Penguin takes her, he also takes the little girl, and then he takes the little girl and raises her himself. That could have been kind of cool.
I don't believe that would have ever happened.
Why?
I just don't.
Because
he couldn't be with Victor. He's never going to be with some little girl.
Well, I know, but this was before that. I'm saying before that, like, I felt like, or I don't know, it's just that nothing happened with the little girl. You know, like, that was kind of a waste. Or it was kind of just like saying, like, look, Sophia's bad too, even though we treat her like she's like a hero or something. She's like a Robin Hood character, even though she's basically like a evil, murderous Britney Spears. But then in Arkham, that psychiatrist is her psychiatrist again.
I was shocked. I thought he had died.
It's like, what's he doing there? Like, he's still there, I guess, and don't they know about his relationship with her? It's just weird. And it just, I don't know, it just feels so bizarre. These little questions and things that I feel like could have been fleshed out more and made more clear if we have more time on the show. And then she also gets a letter from Catwoman because she is her sister.
Half-sister.
Her half-sister.
They say that.
So that was kind of a teaser for the Batman 2. And, you know, so who knows what'll happen with that. I don't know if Sophia will be broken out or not, because I feel like if Catwoman breaks her out, then they're going to want to go after the Penguin and kill him. So, I don't think that's going to happen. What?
I don't know. Or should we talk about the bad part now? The part we disagree with?
Well, then...
we don't disagree with each other. We disagree with what they did with the character.
Yeah, then the Penguin finds out about his mom. She's a vegetable now, and he made her the promise that he would kill her if she became like that, and he also does not follow through on his promise, which is just another instance of, like, he's a liar. And I will admit, like, he is a liar. He is 100% a liar. You can't trust him. That's his fatal flaw as a character. And I think that's kind of like his downfall. And I think that instead of, like, him killing Victor for no reason, that they should have had that be his downfall. And they could have even had it be like where Victor discovers that he killed his brothers, and then Victor gets away and runs away. And so it would show that, like, the Penguin's biggest weakness is that nobody can trust him. So even, like, his closest confidant leaves his side at the end or something. You know, I thought that would have been better, or something like that. Like, barely escapes. But instead, we have this really stupid scene where they're on a bench together, and it starts off as, like, kind of like a victory moment. And I was thinking at that point, like, what bad thing does Penguin do in this episode? Because I'm still on his side, even though they don't want me to be, because he's the main character. And then all of a sudden, he puts his hand on Victor and he kills him. And I bet Safi was like, ah! When she was watching that, you know, because Safi, she's at a loss for words.
Well, he said, you've been, I wrote it down. Let's see, here we go. Victor says, thanks for taking me in. You're like family to me.
And then the penguin kills him.
But it isn't a quick thing like shooting him. He, I don't know what he did. He cut off his windpipe and, strangled him.
Yes, Safi, that's what you do when you touch someone's neck like that. You strangle
it was
them.
really hard to see what he was sitting next to him and how he could do that without that boy who was young and couldn't get out of it.
Well, people have said their excuse is that Victor was a weakness and he couldn't afford to have another weakness so that he wouldn't make emotional decisions like he did when he had his mom. But I think
he was his only, I guess he had this other person.
Well, and I think it's bullshit because he still has his mom. His mom is still there. If someone touches his mom, even though she's a vegetable, he's going to kill them and murder their whole family. He still has his girlfriend who gave him up, which that's another thing. It's like he never wondered or questioned who gave him up or how Sophia found him. That's another thing that could have been fleshed out if we have more time on the show. Is that big plot hole of nobody knew about his location except for her and Victor. And that Victor didn't give him up, so that's process of elimination. So there was no discussion with that. At the end, he's in a big penthouse. He's got a top hat finally. And he's dancing with the prostitute dressed as his mom, while his mom is upstairs as a vegetable. And it's honestly, it felt so contrived.
I didn't like that.
I didn't like it either.
The part where it starts, the part where he kills Victor, from then on, I didn't like it.
I agree.
I just
It reminded me of Fallout. Fallout Season 1 finale. That's what it felt like. Except at least in that, or I don't know, actually that was worse. So, I just don't agree with that whole weakness argument because I feel like in terms of business and strategy, Victor was his best man.
You can't do it all alone.
It just doesn't make sense.
There's too many people. It's just like there's no honor amongst thieves. That's a truism. It isn't just a little funny saying like, fool me once, people. Shame on you. Remember that thing? Think about that in terms of the last 2 weeks, okay? And then it's like having alliances. Victor was an alliance. He was a strong, powerful alliance because
he was his right hand.
Yeah, they could do more together.
Doesn't make any sense.
Who's he going to do things with?
I don't know.
People who could just
the prostitute.
And
that was stupid.
This is what I'm saying, that it reminds me of the events of the last week. It's just shocking.
It ruins the finale.
It ruined it for me.
It ruins the season. And I told Safi before I watched the episode, Safi can say, I said there's no way they're going to have the penguin kill Victor because if they did, it's going to completely ruin the show.
Or he get killed by somebody else in one of these gunfire fights or whatever.
That would have sucked too. Because again, they introduced this new character. He's a great character and then they just kill him off like that. It's stupid. I didn't like it at all. I felt actually it's reminiscent of Breaking Bad. Because in Breaking Bad Season 1, Safi doesn't know this, they wanted Vince Gilligan to kill off Jesse. They wanted Walter to kill Jesse in the first season of Breaking Bad.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
So that's what this is like.
Jesse was iconic.
That's what this is like. Victor is the Jesse to the Penguins' Walter White. So they literally did what Vince Gilligan said was not good to do in Breaking Bad Season 1. And yet people are going to defend it. They're going to say it was great. He's a villain. Of course he did that. And it's like, no. Just because he's a villain doesn't mean he's always going to do the villainous thing. I think
there could be exceptions to the rule, but not with him.
Well, I think that the main message of the episode that they were trying to get across was that he hasn't changed. He killed Victor like he killed his brothers. He gave up Sophia like he gave her up 10 years ago and sent her to Arkham. So he hasn't changed.
Well, this time she deserved it. That's the difference.
Yeah. But still, it's like they're saying he was always evil, even as a child. He was an evil child somehow. Which...
Yeah, but it looks like he was, Marco.
Well, I know, but it's like...
I mean, that's one thing we
silly.
debated.
It's cartoony, though.
Well, Marco, it's from a comic book.
Yeah, but it is really silly. They're trying to make it this realistic show, and then they're like, oh, well, he was always evil. He was an evil child, like in The Omen. Like, that's what he's like in this episode. It's like, wow, he is bad.
And, see, we had debated that all along.
Yeah.
Where he's a kid, kids don't make rational decisions. And he left his brothers there, but he didn't think anything would happen to them, that they would be okay the next day, not realizing that they would drown in that area, even though we saw this metaphoric image in the window of this vase or glass jar or whatever, filling with water because it was pouring out, and it was like there was another fourth to go or third to go, and it was going to fill up. And they showed that when the boys were yelling for help outside in that grate on the street, and because it was happening there too, like that jar. And so we thought all along, except up to this episode anyway, we thought, well, maybe he just was a kid. He didn't know what he was, he was being selfish, and he was being and he wasn't thinking properly. He's not mature, adult.
The selfish, audacious Oz.
Yeah.
Well, I think...
but he did know he was doing what he was doing. He wanted his mother all to himself.
But I think the thing to argue about is, why did Oz's mom go to a gangster for help?
Well, that was her. She's a family friend.
But she could have...
He came there. He came to her apartment.
Because, the thing is, it's like, okay, he's an evil child. Well, how do you fix that? She didn't want to fix him. She turned him into an even worse person because she did what Rex recommended, which was to train his evilness. And what?
His name is Max.
No, his name is Rex. And so she did what he said for her to do, and basically to harness his evil abilities for quote-unquote good instead of anything else. And it's like, I think the good argument would be, how could he have been redeemed after that? Like, how could he have been fixed, like, with some kind of therapy? Like, I just don't know. Like,
I know. It
just seems like a lose-lose situation with that character that they created. And, yeah. So I think it was a mistake, though, because I think even though he is this evil, he needs to have some little part of him that isn't evil.
Well, that's taking care of his mother. She got what she wanted. She's in the top of the penthouse.
No, she wanted to be killed.
Well,
she asked for him to kill her.
But before that...
That doesn't matter.
That was her dream.
That doesn't matter. That's gone.
So basically, he fulfilled his own dream.
Yeah, and that's it. So, I didn't like that. I felt like the episode was an A until that part, until Victor's death, and then I'd give that last part an F. So
and that's like the last 8th or 16th of the episode.
Yeah.
It is a really tiny part. And this is what I'm saying. It's like with any performance. Skating, gymnastics comes to mind because I watch those things. It's what you remember. And they have a perfect performance, and then the skaters have a fall, or the gymnast has a fall, or misses the bars on the parallel bars or whatever, and then they fall. Everything else is out the window. You just remember the negative thing at the end. It's the sticks.
Yeah.
And of course, it's more technical. Like the Olympics, they actually lose point values and just that, except that affects the score and makes it bad. But I mean, in your mind, though, all of that good work, good solid work, is gone. It's disappeared.
Well, it's like, hey, a person who's never watched The Penguin, would you like to watch The Penguin? It's a really good show. I really like the dynamic between the Penguin and Victor, who's this new character, and they make a perfect duo, and you really root for them. But then Victor gets killed by the end by the Penguin for no reason. So, no, actually, don't watch that show. That's what I would say to someone. Like, because it's like, why would I want to watch Breaking Bad if Jesse gets killed at the end of season 1?
Yeah, and at least they realized, even with Saul, what a valuable character they were. Nacho, he was valuable up to a certain point. Howard, he was really, all those, they really did realize the value of their, it wasn't until they got to Better Call Saul, and then you go into the episode. The season, how they...
Nacho had 6 seasons. Howard had 6 seasons. Chuck had 3 seasons. Kim had all 6 seasons. So, that's what I'm saying too, is that like TV shows have really turned into not TV shows anymore.
I don't know.
Because this is not something that they would have done if they would have said that they're going to make a season 2. If they were going to make a season 2, they would not have killed Victor, because he's essential to the show being good. I wouldn't want to watch the show without Victor in it, because it's about him and Oswald together, not just Oswald and his prostitute, who he, for some reason, doesn't know that she betrayed him. He didn't even think about it. It's like...
Yeah, which is
it's
funny
kind of
because
weird.
They did this thing where the mother and then Oz, they both realize or come to the realization about the mother knowing about what really happened to the boys, what he did. Oh, what was it that she found in Oz's pocket? Because this is how it was confirmed to her that he
I can't remember.
Was it the money that Max gave him, or gave her, remember, to the older boy?
I can't remember.
That's
Rex,
the only thing it could be.
Rex.
We're going to look this up, and Marco's going to be sorry.
Yeah, okay, I'll look it up right now on your phone.
Okay, go ahead.
And we don't even get the prostitutes. I mean, the prostitute isn't really a character either, because it's like she's
worse than the psychiatrist.
Yeah,
as far as being one-dimensional.
She gave him up, and then now that he has done all this stuff, she's gonna be with him because of his money.
Yeah, money.
Like she's a terrible person too. That's another thing. Okay, here we go.
Huh. I could have sworn it was Max.
Yeah, Safi often hears things that aren't the truth on purpose.
No,
she has
Marco,
selective listening, selective hearing.
But, I did have trouble hearing. I never heard whatever his name was. I had never heard of it until this episode. Never heard it.
Well, Safi, he said his name in the first scene of the show.
Well, God. I mean, really?
Yeah.
And that flew by in like a bird tweet. Oh, come on. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's so insignificant.
Really?
Whatever he was,
Well, it's not because
he was going to kill that kid. He was going to have him kill her child.
And that's something to say, is that he looked up to Rex. He still looks up to Rex. But it's clear now that he only looks up to his idea of Rex because we saw in the flashback that he ignored him and he was a jackass. And then we saw he was willing to kill him as a child. So he's a terrible person. He's not someone to look up to. And yet the Penguin has this, like, I mean, I was picturing like someone like Jimmy Hoffa or something. You know, I wasn't picturing like this character that they had by the end. And so, you know, that's what I'm saying, though, is that he's not trustworthy. He's not believable. And that should have been his downfall, instead of he doesn't want to have any weaknesses, so he kills Victor randomly.
Okay, so I think we have to wrap it up. So anyway, you want to give your grade for the...
I already did. I said it was an A until Victor, and after that it was an F.
Oh, you really did give it that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll just give it a C, because you can't say that the first part of the episode was bad. A lot happened, and I'm glad that she went to Arkham. And then when it got to that last tiny bit, this is like the Chiefs game last night. It came to the last couple of seconds. And I'm a Chiefs fan, so I like the outcome, but I'm saying this is how it changed the whole dynamic of the season. This little tiny piece at the end of this episode, to me anyway, in my opinion and in Marco's opinion, it ruined it for me. I just, whatever. So I'm giving it a C, so it's kind of like A and then F and then the average of the two is a C. So, and I didn't want to do that. I do want to say that I thought that the Penguin, the guy who plays him, does an excellent job, and the makeup is excellent. I mean, just everything. His accent is just, I've said it a million times. I'll just finish with that. That never changes for me, that part. And all, the thing with the girl who plays Sophia, it's weird how she's just such a different character than Fargo, but her whole story, why we already talked about this, why she did what she did with this therapy thing where she has to expose to Oz that she knows what he did to his brothers by having his mother hypnotized, I guess, from the psychiatrist, who probably gave her some kind of psychotropic drug or something to induce that. And then she has a stroke because the stress of it and the shock of it, it's just, and everything has happened to her, you know, that being shuffled around and almost having her finger cut off or cut in half or whatever, all that, you know, it's just, it's so much stress, and I mean, it just hits her all at the same time. And that's just a flaw with her character. A major flaw is her, and then wanting to give somebody all her property and all her businesses and everything, and then she's going to leave the country. Why? And that's so inexplicable too. So I'm saying that with her character, it's not, I don't know. It's just the whole.
It reminded me of that character in Your Honor, Eugene. When he wanted to leave, he's like, "There's nothing for me here anymore." That's exactly what she said too.
Yeah, she said that.
So that's what it reminded me of, Eugene.
Well, what was there for her before? I mean, not after his father.
I don't know. She wanted to be crime boss or something. I don't know.
I don't either. So anyway, so we've given our grades, and what do you think? Do you agree? And that's all for now. So we'll see you soon, and become one of our subscribers, our over 600 plus subscribers. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, make a comment. What did you think? Did you agree with us about Victor? Maybe not, but I liked his character, even though he didn't have really that much of a presence, except he did help Oz kill those remaining rival gang members. And there were a few things I liked about this last episode, like the thing that, well, the scenes that were similar, like to that the Godfather. It really reminded me a lot of that. And anyway, that's it. So goodbye, everybody.